Hello everybody, my name is Evan Mulch and welcome to another video of Upper Cervical. I have here with me today Mary Haymond, a patient of Dr. Scott Baker, and she's here to talk about her story with the care that she's received through Upper Cervical. Hi Mary, how are you?
Just fine, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well Mary, I understand that in the past you had suffered from hip issues.
Yes.
And that's what initially led you to chiropractic. If you would just tell me about what you had suffered in the past and talk a little bit about how you made it to Dr. Scott Baker's office.
Okay. Well, about 2.5 years ago, my problems with my hip became severe. I really sensed over time that something was happening with my hips that wasn't right. But by the time I went to chiropractic, I had already allowed myself to get into a bad state where I knew I had to do something, and that's what propelled me to seek out a chiropractor, which because of a friend's recommendation, I went to a chiropractor who uses the activator as his primary tool. And my hips had rotated badly to the left, and it affected my every move. Not that I couldn't walk or anything, but if I'd allowed it to continue, I knew that there would be a serious problem with even that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kneeling, getting up out of bed, all kind of various things let me know I had to do something. So I went to that chiropractor, and right away I knew that I was in good hands, that what he had done had changed the situation enough to give me the feeling that I'm going to be okay. This is working. And it did work over time. And I was satisfied with it over time. But then last December, I started, I became ill with a flu, I believe what it was, and it really took me months to recover. And during that period, I didn't feel right and I was struggling. My hips were struggling, there were other problems that were occurring, and I was distressed a lot with it. And this is what opened me up to the idea that maybe I need to make a change, maybe something else will help me. And I had known of Upper Cervical for a long time, all that time really, because Dr. Baker is a member of our church and his wife told me about her first adjustment and how happy she was with it. And later, when his mother came on the scene, she was always telling me how great she felt, and that was really what I needed to be doing. And so, then this grand opening happened at Chapman Cultural Center. The timing was perfect. I feel that divine intervention, the Lord, had helped me come to the point where I'd be ready to make a change that would be better for me, a better situation.
And for our viewers out there, the grand opening at the Chapman Cultural Center was an event that Dr. Scott Baker did just a few months ago.
Right. And so that night, they gave a special opportunity. If you signed up that night, you got a big discount on the x-rays.
Right.
And a free examination. So I signed up, and Dr. Baker had, through the process, was explaining a lot. I love how he explains what's going on and how his technology and the rest of it kind of shows what the full story is. But he gave me my first adjustment, and then there's a rest period. So I went in and had my rest period, and while I was laying there, I felt something shifting down in my hip area. I felt it shifting. And so then that night I went to bed, and in the morning, when your hips are rotated to the left, it gives you one feeling. When they're back in place, it gives you a whole different feeling.
Oh wow.
And that's how I felt. I felt, you know, by golly, he adjusted my neck and my hips are where they're supposed to be. I can feel it.
So you noticed the change in the matter of hours after your first...
By the next morning, I knew that my hips were in place.
And how many weeks would you say that it took to get back to where you thought, well, this is the way I'm supposed to be feeling. This is what it feels like to have hips
I felt like
aligned.
it overnight. You know, I lived a long time with my hips being in the right place. And there's one feeling that you feel when you feel normal, and then there's another feeling when you know you're not, and that you're badly out of whack. And so that's the difference. So I knew it, and that was 2.5 months ago. Since that time, there were a couple times when I felt a little shift, and then my body just pulled me right back into place. My hips were twisted for a long time, but now, I think one thing about the upper cervical is, since my husband and I are health oriented, we know Heavenly Father's given us a wonderful body. We've worked with that concept through our diet, through exercise, through other things, through spiritual, through just other things that He's given us. And so this fits so perfectly into our realm of thinking. And it's true, what's happened to me has confirmed to me the reality that regardless of where your problem is, your body, the wonderful brains we have, the wonderful system Heavenly Father has given us, the nervous system that can communicate anywhere in the body, if those nerves, if the brainstem, if the atlas in place, if the nerves can go everywhere where they're supposed to go, the brain is able to send messages. And that's what it did with me. It had to send messages to the muscles down in my hip area. It knew what was wrong, and it brought it back into place. So I believe in the principles that are behind upper cervical. Although the other chiropractics are very helpful and good, the thing is, this is, to me, better in the long run, because in the long run you need less adjustments, which mean less money, but it's also less adjustments. It's mean you're more self-reliant. Your bodies are able to do their job, not only in an area you're having a problem with, but who knows what things will be prevented, what things will be healed, as long as you're doing overall what you should to take care of your body with other ways. This is just one way. And so you can, like for me, it means a lot. I'm an older person. I'm on Medicare, it's true, and Dr. Baker doesn't accept Medicare, but I'm grateful for that, because if it did, it means he'd have to be going by their rules, which would not be in my best interest. And so I feel if he knows what he's doing, he does his job. Pretty soon, next week we'll start at just one time a week, and then after that, after a month, it'll be just once a month. And depending on how I'm holding, which so far I've only needed one adjustment according to my memory since that first one. So I figured, with the process being as it is, and as long as I keep up regular like I'm supposed to with being checked, I feel a lot more secure about my future in regard to health. And with things happening in the world today, with changes in Medicare, with the way the thinking is, with, I think, less sympathy for senior citizens and benefits and all that kind of stuff to senior citizens, and with, pensions and Social Security being at risk to some greater degree. So health is a huge issue for senior citizens, for everybody, for children, every age of life. And just think, if a child started early, and if adults, the earlier they start, the more will be prevented, the less cost, the less pain, the less toxic things put in their body. I mean, already, I've tried to put as little drugs in my body for over 30 years as I possibly could. And it's been a great benefit to my health. At 68, my husband is 80, he's on one medicine. I'm 68, I'm on one medicine for thyroid that I couldn't seem to avoid. So I've avoided all those toxins in my system all those years, so that for my age, I am younger than I could be, and I have a lot less problems. And upper cervical just fits perfectly into that framework.
So what would you recommend to those out there that may be suffering with hip issues like you were suffering from?
Yes, I not only recommend it for them, but I don't know, I think babies from the start, if people, no matter what their age or their situation or whatever, I recommend upper cervical. That will prevent problems. It's not that hard for a child to fall, or for any of us to make moves that can set us possibly off whack, particularly if our bodies aren't used to being as in whack,
right.
As to having adjustments periodically or whatever. Or if your body is used to having all those capabilities, then it's been far better able to take care of you. as it's meant to do, as it can do, as it's fully able to do.
But you've done a great job explaining, what you know about upper cervical care. That is one of the big things about upper cervical care when you are a patient, is learning about it and being able to understand it. So thank you so much for being here to do this video, and everybody who's viewing this, thank you for watching, and we'll hope you'll view more of our videos in the future.